Our guest here today has unique insight into Brett Kavanaugh. Vernon Grigg is a Bay Area lawyer and a member of the Supreme Court Bar. Vernon, you went to Yale Law School the same year as Kavanaugh.
Yes, that's right.
Right, so you've had 3 years to really get good insight into him as a friend, a person, and a scholar. So let's start with the friend part first. Give us an idea of what he's like as a person, as a friend.
Oh, Brett's great. Brett's, and as everyone has testified, no one has anything really bad to say about Brett personally, and I consider him to be a friend. He's warm, he's engaged, he's funny, he's really quick with a wit, and he's very present. So he's really he's a person of really good character. He's the kind of person you'd be happy to call a friend.
All right. What about him as a scholar? Ted Olson says he has a great legal mind. Did you see that at school?
Well, it's funny because Brett didn't. Now, Brett is a brilliant jurist, whether you agree or disagree with his approach to the law. He didn't really distinguish himself as the smartest, person, in part because he was pretty quiet. He listened more than he talked. And there were a lot of really smart people in that class who talked a lot more than they listened. So he didn't really come across that way. But I think he's probably, yeah.
All right. Well, watching him in the hearings this week, was that the guy you knew? Did anything surprise you, or did you say, no, that's Brett?
Yes, the kind of the twinkle in his eye, the very thorough way that he knows the law, the very methodical way that he works his way through answering questions. I was a little surprised at the kind of reserved nature of some of the responses that, they withheld some information and whatnot. And I could almost see that he wasn't that comfortable with that. It may have been something that he had to do, but that was kind of uncharacteristic. He's been pretty transparent.
Well, the least comfortable parts were probably the exchanges with Senator Kamala Harris, whom you also know and are friends with, right?
Yeah.
There was a lot of fiery exchanges there. She grilled him on abortion, on presidential powers, the Mueller investigation conversations. What did you make of that exchange?
Well, it was so unique because, I worked with Kamala for many years. She's a friend. I respect her greatly. And really, she was at her best in that hearing. I mean, she was on fire, and you see why she was so great in the courtroom. And these issues are so important. And Brett is a different kind of judge. And it's going to be a different day if he rises to the Supreme Court. He's an originalist. And so for all of these concerns that Kamala is raising, I share those concerns because he's going to take a different approach to the Constitution with regard to those issues.
All right. So then based on those concerns, do you ultimately think that senators should vote to confirm Kavanaugh based on his qualifications, or should they not, based on his qualifications and perhaps political implications as well?
It's a tough call, and I'm glad that I don't have to make it, but either way they go is a defensible position for any senator because Brett is qualified, Brett is smart, but Brett is going to change the role of the Supreme Court in the country as we know it. At the same time, as Professor Akil Amar said, if I don't know who, if not Brett, if there's going to be a Republican president, I don't know who would be next. He is the brightest star on the Republican horizon. And so I think in that regard, he's worthy of this confirmation. But at the same time, as a father of daughters, as a black man in this country, as a person who's in favor of voting rights, I'm worried about where the court will take us under with his participation. All
right, and not an easy thing for a friend and classmate to say, but Vernon Grigg, thank you for coming in and sharing that with us. We are out of time. By the way, Vernon does run a nonpartisan voting integrity group called Center for Electoral Equity. You're very passionate about that. You can find more information on it on abc7news.com.
Okay.